Good evening, and welcome to Horror Historian. My name is Amanda, and tonight we'll be discussing the 2010 South Korean slasher, I Saw the Devil. This is very much in the same vein as the Vengeance trilogy, not just there are some reoccurring actors, but also in theme. The movie was directed by Kim Ji-woon. He is most known for A Tale of Two Sisters and The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, a movie that I would very much like to see now. The writer is Park Hoon-jung. He is most known for The Unjust. The stars are Lee Byung-hun and Choi Min-sik. Lee is most known for Squid Games, Iris, and The Magnificent Seven. He is so incredibly talented, but kind of a hot mess personally. Choi is most known for Old Boy, Lady Vengeance, Lucy, and Ex Huma. Trigger warnings for extensive sexual assault, cannibalism, and pretty brutal violence. And I'm a horror movie reviewer, so please believe me. The movie just jumps right in. We're not beating around the bush. Chu-yun is waiting for someone to come help her with a flat tire when a bus driver stops and offers to help her. She's on the phone with her fiance, Soo-hyun. Soo-hyun is unable to help her because he's at work. He is an NIS agent, which is the South Korean version of the CIA. He is a special agent in security. He's at work though, so he has to promise that he'll call her back later. She hangs up saying that she'll get home safe, and she doesn't have much of a chance to protect herself as her head is repeatedly bashed in by a tire iron. This is Kyung Chol, and he is our villain. He's a serial killer, and I am trying not to get yelled at by YouTube, but his motivation is sexual. He takes Soo Hyun, mocks her when she tries to beg for her and her fetus's life, and dismembers her. Her ring ends up being trapped in the drain, and he doesn't notice this. When all is said and done, Ju Yun's body is placed in a stream. A little boy ends up finding her ear, which result in everyone rushing to the stream to find the rest of her. Kyung Cho really did screw up when he decided to attack this specific woman. Not only does Soo Yun arrive at the scene where they believe that he's going to be finding his fiance's body, but so does her father, who is an important police officer. They end up dropping Ju Yun's head directly in front of Soo Yun, and you know from that moment on that Kyung Chol is going to go through hell, and he deserved it. So that's fair. There are really only four suspects in the murder, and I know that the fourth guy must be so glad that it never got to him because those first two had it rough. They deserved it, considering neither of them were particularly good people, but they most certainly had nothing to do with Ju Yun's death. Soo-yun does not actually meet Kyung-chul at first. He finds where he lives, and when he starts going through the building, that is when he ends up finding the ring. But now that he knows who he's looking for, he needs to make sure that he keeps his tabs on him. At this point, Soo-yun is following Kyung-chul after attaching a GPS device to his van while he's at his job. He's driving students home when he gets a message notifying him that he has been terminated. He ends up taking one of the teenage girls and starts to assault her in a field. That is when Soo-yun makes his presence known. Soo-yun really just beats the hell out of Kyung-chul, and I was going to say, wow, that's a really short movie, but no. He decides that he's going to play with him, and he forces him to swallow a GPS tracker and then breaks his wrist. Kyung-chul is able to walk away and survives his first encounter with Soo-yun. He's mad as hell, and it's clear that he did not expect for things to catch up to him in the way that it evidently has. He ends up getting a ride by a taxi driver who has another passenger in the back, and they're both very talkative and friendly. Mostly the cab driver was surprised that he got two people on the same back road. He obviously failed to win the fight. He knows that he's going to be hunted and that someone is very aware of what he's been doing. He ends up killing the two men, and his violence towards men is much different than his violence towards women. Kyung-chul then makes his way to the doctor, where it becomes abundantly clear that this man cannot stop himself from assaulting people. There is absolutely not an ounce of self-control in that man, and he immediately starts to assault the nurse that is in the waiting room. It is at this point that, for me personally, I would accept that Kyung-chul is just too dangerous to leave out into the world, and clearly the threat of death is not going to get him to stop. I would cut the long revenge short and just do something messed up. But no. While Soo Yun stops Kyung Chul from doing anything worse than raping the nurse, he still lets her get raped. And he doesn't take this chance to kill him, he lets him go. Instead, he decides to cut his Achilles tendon, severely damaging his ability to chase after any potential victims. It's shocking, actually. It doesn't entirely incapacitate Kyung Chul, but it does make him a lot slower. He's limping for the rest of the movie. Kyung Chul has learned one major thing from this interaction. He's being stalked and he is being tortured. But this guy is taking his time with him, which means that he really needs to retreat and reconsider the situation that he is in. He manages to get a close friend of his, although as much as as close as a friend that Kyung Chul could have. There seems to be a small collection of serial killers that Kyung Chul knows, and this is This friend is one of those people. Taeju is a cannibal and he is married. His wife is oddly faithful but doesn't seem to take part in the cannibalism. Taeju is afraid of Kyungchul, and that is obvious throughout their entire interaction. Taeju makes some slick comments and is immediately cowering in the face of the hint of Kyungchul's anger. It's not worth trying to get into it with him. Taeju is the one that points out the obvious. The person beating his ass is obviously doing it for revenge. It's just that this guy has a lot of victims. Soohyun takes his time getting into the house, unaware that he is walking into a situation where there are two killers and a woman that is willing to die for one of them. There's a pretty solid fight sequence, and it ends up being that he knocks out the cannibal and his wife, leaving them to the police. The only thing that Kyung-cho really deals with is learning that he has a transmitter inside of him. With some laxatives, Soo-hyun isn't able to track him any longer, which is a big problem since Kyung-chul has also figured out who he is. So Soo-hyun goes to the cannibal and questions him to find out what Kyung-chul's next move is going to be. He does get his answer. The people that are close to him are in serious danger. He's going to go after Soo-hyun's deceased fiance's father and her sister. The cannibal goes on a bit longer than necessary, talking about what Joo-hyun likely went through based on what he knows about Kyung-chul's murder style. Basically, that she had been assaulted. In probably the most brutal kill of the movie, Soo-hyun makes sure that he isn't going to hear anything from the cannibal again. He rips his jaw off, although we don't see the ultimate state of him. I have major doubts that he would have survived that kind of trauma. While that's going on, Kyung-chul makes his way to the chief's house and brutally beats him. Joo-hyun's sister arrives, and you can assume what happens to her. Throughout the movie, she had been trying to convince Soo-hyun to just come home, mourn, deal with it, but to stop the revenge. Soo-hyun arrives at the house to find the older man in serious condition, but not blaming Soo-hyun for the situation that they have ended up in. That is not entirely shared by the police that work with the chief. They are very unhappy with his involvement, although none of them seem to be rushing to arrest him. Like, they have to know what's going on. The cannibal did give him a bit more information, which was that the ultimate plan is that Kyung-chul is going to turn himself in. It may seem like an odd thing to do, but the South Korean justice system is kind of a mess. There is a death penalty, but there has not been an execution since 1997. And just based on the time period, I think that this movie was based on the actual serial killer Kang Ho-sun. He was a rapist serial killer that was caught in 2008, and by all accounts, he seems to be an entirely unrepentant killer. He is still waiting for his execution, and he is still a piece of shit. Jung Chul knew that he was going to spend the rest of his days in prison if he didn't get out, which was always a possibility, as there are a few notorious cases where truly awful people were released. Not an ideal situation, but guess who can never complete the revenge if he were to turn himself in? Basically, he'll be taken down by the police, and just everything that Soo Hyun had been doing up to this point will be for absolutely nothing. It would be his fault that his sister in law had been assaulted and murdered because of him, and actually, a lot of people ended up being assaulted because of him. Like, my guy, you have had ample opportunities to kill this man, and he has given you ample evidence that he will not stop. Like, literally, right before the guy had gone to kill his fiance's family, Suyeon messed with him and dumped him by the side of the road. Sir, at some point you have to admit your revenge is not working out quite the way expected and throw in the towel. Suyeon knows where the surrender is going to be and rushes over. He does a pretty cool move, once again proving why he had a career in the action realm of Hollywood, basically grabbing Kyung Chul and making sure that he isn't going anywhere anytime soon. To his credit, he does take his time torturing Kyung Chul and really makes him feel the kind of pain that he's been putting his victims through. But if he thought the guy would care, then he was sorely mistaken. Jung Chul even starts mocking Soo Hyun, which seems like a wild leap in logic, but the man is just like he's just following his id. There's no other thought process really going on. Soo Hyun is tired of hearing him and places a rope between his teeth. In a way, it is certainly a way to shut the man up once and for all, but it's also the only way that he is going to stay alive any longer. He has to bite down on the rope, or a blade is going to fall down and decapitate him. Soo-yeon has tied the rope onto the blade and I believe contacted Kyung-cho's parents to let them know where he is, and that rope is also attached to a door. He leaves, setting a recorder down so he can hear what is going to happen once he leaves. It doesn't take long before Kyung-chul realizes that people trying to get into the room to see him are his parents and his young son. It was a bit hard for me to tell if he let go or if his father finally forced the door open, but either way, Kyung-chul is beheaded in front of them. Soo-yeon listens to the entire thing, and it must be such a huge release to finally kill the person that has caused you so much pain, your family so much pain, and other families, like countless families, pain. But at the same time, so much pain was caused in this revenge. And frankly, the parents and his son didn't deserve to have to see that. Another tale against revenge, a warning that if you push yourself too far, you're going to end up becoming the monster. With the son being present, you can't really help but wonder if that cycle of revenge and hurt might continue in the future when the son is old enough. That is, if he completely understands what his father was doing. The two leads are so good. You empathize with one and you're terrified of the other. And then you end up being a little bit afraid of both of them. There may be a clear winner, but you don't feel as though that was the case. And this is a super intense movie. I would not recommend it to most. There's no shying away when anything happens. But if you got a friend that likes messed up stuff, I think this is the movie for them. And if you're a big fan of this movie, then hey, what's up? Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed. If I ever came across someone like Young Jill, I'm toast. Oh, no, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, no, I'd die in this situation in a heartbeat. No, what are you talking about?